Alright, a very good morning. You're watching the Kokoliriko show on Westnell TV with me, Federick Dramadri, and we'll be really moving up to the hour of 9 a.m. and that's where we'll be really bringing the news team on the issues that happened yesterday, especially for those who love to hear or listen to or watch news in Lugbarati. That will be brought to you by Feta Emmanuel. First of all, I want to thank those who are watching us at this particular hour. It is the 27th of October 2023. We are left with 4 days to close the month, and I don't know if you have been able to fulfill some of the plans that you had set aside, and this is where you should be able to evaluate yourself, because we are left with approximately 2 months to really close this year, and that means there's a lot that we should be doing. And this time we will be expecting that the dry spell signs will be seen, but we are still experiencing a lot of rain. That means you can plant a crop that yields within 2 months or 1.5, or any greens that you can plant to add money into your pockets, and that is one way you can really easily grow very fast, instead of waiting for a long month to get a salary or maybe somebody's allowance that he gives you on monthly basis. And those are some of the things you should be able to impact on. And also those who are watching us within Arua City, we say thank you very much. You had very constructive budget consultative meeting, and that is also the same extended to Arua district. They had theirs also yesterday, which all concluded very well. It is very important if we team up and really come together to share ideas on how to develop a local government, and also ensure that we identify gaps that exist in service delivery and share them together, how we strategize. You know, most of the developments are now private sector led, and how do we incorporate the private sector into our planning? Those are some of the things we need to do as a local governments, and we need to impress that business persons in our vicinities play a very big role in the development of our nation. Okay, that is why we need to all the time involve them in our planning processes, in our various meetings, so that they share ideas. Remember, these are people who are well versed with the development aspects. That's why somebody is able to start a business at 10,000 shillings, but is able to really buy a bus, and that is somebody who has lived with a very great experience. We have seen testimonies of some people telling us that they have been selling eggs on the streets and turned to be the proprietors of bus companies. And this is one thing we will be expecting of these local governments. You should be able to incorporate such people to come and share ideas on how to grow your local government together, and also ensure that local private public partnership is strengthened. This is very paramount if we want to really grow very far. For those of you who do not know where Westnell TV is located, we are here on Weatherhead Park Lane. That is plot number 39A. That is in Arua City. But also those who have other businesses to do with the station, you can dial the telephone number 0765. That is 282281, and that's where you'll be able to reach the management or the business persons who are directly to link with you. But also you can go on to our website, that is http:// that is westnelltv.co.ug, and that's where you'll be able to get us live on websites. And also you can go to our YouTube channels. That is the various programs already there on YouTube channels. You will be able to see Kokoliriko live there, and you can be able to follow us from there and also give us your contributions. Tell us, this being a Friday, where you're watching us from, what is your favorite topic or issue that has been discussed over this week? What are the outstanding stories that you want us to really know from the day one, that was on Monday, up to today? And what is that outstanding story that was really impactful that you want us to really bring back or talk about in the due course of the week? Those are some of the things we want really to hear from you. But also most importantly, telling us that where you are watching us from is very, very important. We'll be really appreciating that. But also those who want to use the emails to link with the administration of this television, you can really go to West Nile TV station at gmail.com, and that's where you'll be able to really get connected to do business with these passions and also with the television. And there are many more programs that will be unveiling. Remember, we have the Kokoliriko show that starts the day, but also this will be followed by the Nilecast and followed by the Lugbara. For those who are really in love with the cultural values, they want to really hear how the Lugbaras behave and so on, you'll be able to catch up with that there. And thereafter we'll be having the conversations on the Islamic hour, but also we'll be having the other aspect of the news, that is Lemangia, that will come there at midday, and thereafter we'll have very good entertainment. Thereafter we'll have also the sports time, that is the whistle time, which will be from 2 to 3 p.m. and thereafter you'll be taken through very good movies and so on. Thereafter you have the Chukuchuku Live that will conclude the week, and also the Nilecast will close the day. And those are some of the programming that we can really unveil for you here. For you who wants to follow the whole day, you'll be able to really get those detailed analysis in those programs, and you will choose which one to really focus on. But also they are all interesting. They have very good presenters who are able to really bring you those detailed kind of issues that you want to really hear or really watch and also really enjoy. And we are here to light up the region. Those who are watching us in other parts of Western region, we may not mention all, but we appreciate that you are with us here. And those in the entire northern Uganda, Langwa and Acholi sub-regions, we appreciate that you are with us connected. And those in central, western and eastern, we appreciate that you are watching us live at this moment. And also those in other parts of different countries that are watching us on Zuku, we say thank you very, very much. And this is the Kokoliriko show schedule. But on the rough of the issues that will be really winding up this week with, we have leading stories that we have selected that we'll be really discussing here. The issues range from teenage pregnancies. You remember there are issues about lack of sex education that is impacting negatively on the rights of the children, and this really is increasing the teenage pregnancies, and that's what the leaders have really fronted. And moving away from that, you get into details that 1.2 million Ugandans are affected by alcohol abuse disorders, and this is where government has really come up to say that we need to regulate this consumption of alcohol. Amidst all those laws that we have, the implementation seems to be very, very tight, and we are not really doing much into that. And there are many more others, like the stories around Uganda being ranked 125 in the whole of sub-Saharan Africa because of poor implementation of laws and failure actually to implement laws. This is by Rule of Law Index 2023. We have been ranked number 125 out of 142 countries across the world that were really evaluated, and that means we are not really doing enough in terms of implementing the available laws that we have, but also many other issues like the Chinese. China has warned her citizens in Kenya about security challenges or security alerts that they have received, and told their nationals to safeguard from cross-border movements and also move into some tourism attraction centers. This is coming out from the fears of the Al-Shabaab and also Kenya's solidarity that they showed to Israel when they were really attacked by the Hamas. And this is another issue that we'll be really moving into, and many others that will be breaking here. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll be able to really move to some of these issues one at a time. Thank you.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
We are the passion you've been waiting for! It's Yunus Junior Santamor! It's our league, our football, our boys, our style. Start Times UPL new season starts 15th September. Go for it! What a finish from Ashraf Kukume! The Ugandan flair, Brazilian samba, Portuguese magic, the night football craze. More TV games live on Senyuka Prime and Fufa TV only on Star Times. The Star Times UPL, our league, go for it.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
All right, welcome back from that commercial break. Earlier on, we are bringing you the highlights of the issues that are happening in the country and also within the continent, looking at various issues or dynamics of some of the issues. Most of them seem to be stories that are really touching human beings negatively. Talk about one of the outstanding stories of the alcohol disorders, okay, the challenges affiliated to this. Ugandans struggle with this, and that is one thing that we need to really know, that we need concerted effort. Looking at the analysis of the breakdown of some of these issues or the figures that have been put there, out of the 1.2 million Ugandans who are already having disorders, alcohol disorders. This include the issues to do with the main diseases that are associated with too much consumption of alcohol. Talk about mental disorders, talk about the issues of liver cirrhosis and many other diseases that you could talk about. And many times people who drink excessively do not really have that appetite to eat food, and you realize that malnutrition plays also a great role in this era. When people overdrink, they lose appetite, they feel like what they have taken is enough for them, and these are some of the things that bring a lot of challenges to mankind. And when you look at the issues behind this kind of alcohol consumption, you realize that government earlier on had passed so many laws in relation to the regulation of alcohol, and one immediate issue that was raised was to increase the cost of alcohol. This was by eliminating sale of alcohol in sachets. Sachets used to go from 100 to 500 shillings, and that depends on the size. And this was really enforced and ensured that people go to bottles which start from maybe 1,500, 2,000 and above. And this was expected to limit those people or children maybe in coming with contact with of alcohol, and this was one thing government wanted to do. But if you look at deeper into this, you realize that the circuit work is still manifesting, is still coming into the public domain, and many people are getting drunk each and every time in Uganda. And if you look at the statistics, you will clearly understand that 25% of the children between the ages of 8 to 15 are ever drinking alcohol. And in Uganda, it is the worst with the rural community. Many children are drinking alcohol. Many children are many mothers are brewing inguli and many other type of alcohol without certification. According to the Inguli Act, you are supposed to be certified by a sub-county chief or by UNBS that really looks at the quality of inguli that you are preparing. And the drinking time starts from midday up to 5 p.m. and those are some of the time that has been provided by the law. And if you move to our localities, starting from the rural communities, many people drink alcohol throughout the night, throughout the day, and so on. And you realize that many people are turning to be something somebody will say cream, yellowish, or maybe pink, and that is the skin texture. And this kind of person loses appetite for food, doesn't want to really mix with others, and most times the language they use is very abusive, and they don't allow themselves to go to do maybe medical checkup on their status. And these are some of the things that have claimed so many lives of the people. And recently we clearly saw that Uganda was ranked number 5 in Africa in terms of alcohol consumption, number 5 on the continent. And you realize that that ranking really clearly indicates that young people are the majority involved in the consumption of alcohol. And this is something that is quite unfortunate. 65% of the young people engaged in alcohol consumption. And remember, the issues to do with mental illness comes around with toxic acids or maybe substances that are consumed. This include maybe drug abuse, including also alcohol, that is part of them. And these are some of the things that really need urgent attention. If we want to really make sure that we have a productive population that we should be able to really move forward with these kind of issues. The strategies that are laid should be enforced without any mercy, because we have seen many laws. The Education Act is very clear. The Health Act, the Public Health Act is also there. We have ordinances at local government levels, but enforcing these kind of laws to ensure that the safety of the people, the quality of the population we have is maintained is still lacking. And these are some of the things that we can really continue to pester government to really enforce, because looking at the implication of this, if we are really able to come out and see that these issues are really manifesting or really becoming too much on the on the quality of the population we have, you know, the issues that are associated with drunkenness. When somebody is drunk, he is able to do anything that he feels he can do. Many times in the villages, people feel like for me to come and maybe look for somebody's trouble, I should first go and drink, and that's when I'll feel like I may not know what he's doing, and we will attribute it that maybe he was drunk, that's why he did all these things. And those are some of the things, yet people are doing some of these things deliberately. And those are some of the things, and that you always really see that they are not really working so much. And you realize that because alcohol is publicly sold and the regulations about it are not really so hard, and really the laws that are put are not being enforced against them until some in some occasions, people begin to die. That's when you see entities like UNBS, entities like URSB, entities like local governments, like and other institutions like police come in action and begin to caution people. For instance, in 2022, we saw the stories about the City 5 gene that killed a lot of Ugandans here in Arua City, and this was really after certification, or after so many analyses were done in the laboratory. It was discovered that the ethanol and the methanol was really so much added into this alcohol. And I realized that many times the alcohol was so adulterated, meaning people were consuming something that was harmful, and that's led to the death of the 22 people that were recorded here in Western region. And many times government has come up with clear measures, and immediately, for instance, about that case, immediately after that case was reported, there were issues to do with the regulation of production of local wines, okay, local waragi, local wines, local gins, and so on, that were brought forth. We saw many stakeholders trying to do sensitization about this alcohol, but to date, it has vanished. Nobody's taking a leave from that, or nobody's picking a leave to educate masses much about this again. But we have seen the issues of taxation. If government is taxing something that is said to be illegal, that means is allowing it, because the person has paid for it, for him to trade in it. And those are some of the things we need to really look at. If we are taxing these people who are producing gins, which are said to be harmful, should we blame them for the production? It is back to us, the local governments who are collecting these taxes. It is we who are ready to be blamed for that kind of things. And this should be a sign that we should be able to understand that without any stringent measure put at from the start of the production, talk about the factories that are making this alcohol, and also the sellers and so on, will not really move far in curtailing that kind of figure, okay, in reducing that figure, 1.2 million. And 1.2 million is out of the 42 million Ugandans, and that means averagely we are not doing enough. These are the cases of the disorders that have been taken from maybe the hospitals and so on. But if you look at people who are drinking alcohol, they don't go to the facilities, you realize that the figures are more than this, and it might have be more than or double this, and those are the things that we really need to look at. How do we attack this kind of non-communicable challenges that come to our people, and yet we were able to fight some of these diseases that were of pandemic in nature. That means alcohol is also something that is threatening the whole the whole country. From the start, you have the enforcement officers who are also mostly drunkards. So how do you enforce where people also see that you are also here participating in it? So it becomes very difficult. So we need to devise mechanisms in curtailing this. I was very happy that government took to its peak, that it was able to enforce a lot of laws. It was able to really do a lot of sensitization and enforce directives against COVID-19, and where people all really collaborated. People were able to accept that COVID is real, we are going to die, and those who were found COVID positive did not even reach 1 million, and that means we have a lot to do. If we want to also do the same for alcohol, it will be very, very important, especially these companies that are producing cheap waragi. that or cheap alcohol that is sold in the market, that many people who could not be able to afford those expensive ones could be at least saved, because if we give the poor quality products at a cheaper cost that are going to kill the people, we are really not really doing enough in terms of safeguarding our people. Government has the mandate, according to the Constitution of 1995, as amended several times, to really ensure that people are safe. So people should be safe in terms of different sectors, not only security across the borders, but also looking at the safety, the health of the people, the safety of the people, and also looking at how people are able to really cope up with some of these mechanisms to move away from dangers associated or that will result into death. Okay, those are some of the issues that we really want to see people changing their attitudes. Okay, also the producers, we have these laws that we have in this country, the Nkuli Act, which is clear. And if you ask a rural mother, she will not be able to understand that brewing Nkuli, you are supposed to be certified. Okay, you are supposed to be licensed. Okay, those are some of the things we need to really engage our people to understand. And also we have the different routes to reach the people. We have the community development services, okay, community services department, which is there at every local government, but also looking at those down route leaders, talking about the LCs, the VSCs who are in charge of health at local government level. And also we have those secretaries under the LC1s, and those are the people who are really to ensure that the knowledge gap is bridged. Those are people who are supposed to really ensure that knowledge is shared among the population, so that people are able to really understand that things are becoming worse and we need to change, and that's where you'll be able to really change the mind of the people. But if you cannot engage the people in terms of some of these kind of things, you will not really be able to achieve the goals that you want to really move with. And that is it about the alcohol, and it is very, very harmful to your health, and that's why most of the media houses do not actually advertise alcohol, and they realize that it is not good to really advertise something that is harmful to your health. Okay, and that's why many times media houses limit the adverts. They have different policies on what to advertise on their media house using their platforms and so on, and that's why many times these are really brought on board. And alcohol, including other substances that have been abused and shown, they are not supposed to be advertised, and those are some of the things that we really want people to also disseminate out there. Alcohol is something that is harmful to your health, and that means if you consume, you are not supposed to really consume excess. If you consume excess, that means you have exceeded your limit. You can easily move on or move off life. Okay, that is one challenge you have. And alcohol being with its disadvantages of increasing poverty level, this is where really many people misuse their little income. Okay, you feel like every day I should take a bottle of maybe alcohol, maybe which is sold at 2,000 every day, and your earning is 5,000. And transport to go and bring the alcohol might be 3,000. That means the 5,000 is gone. And then at the end of the month, you will realize that you are already in debts. Those are some of the challenges you'll be able to really come with if we cannot move away from this routine consumption of alcohol, we will remain poor and poorer. Those who are sacrificing to save the little they have, they will be called to be the wealthier persons in this city, in this Uganda, and on this continent of Africa. There are people who are now called tycoons. There are people who are called billionaires. There are people who are called trillionaires, and many others have named themselves the bosses. And this is coming because they kept track of their transactions, and they made sure they were accountable to themselves. Okay, you can be accountable to yourself. You can also fail to account to yourself. There are moments that you maybe have withdrawn 1 million Ugandan shillings. You even don't know how you spend the money, and at the end of the day you can't account to yourself. How did I spend the money? What did I buy? What is it that I had planned to buy? And those are some of the things. Diversion of funds is one of the factors that really contribute immensely to corruption. And that's why many times local governments are audited, and once they realize that you have diverted a fund, they want you to replace that money that you diverted, which is sometimes also very risky. Many times some of the officers have been taken to jail because of those kind of issues. You should be also having that kind of attitude in yourself, that I don't want to really divert my funds. I don't want to really do this. My plan is A, B, C, D. Once I receive my salary, I should be able to put this money into that area that I've been always facing challenges, or that priority that I've already centered my mind onto. And many times people have good plans, and they feel like, okay, at the end of the month I want to buy 2 goats, or I want to maybe start a bakery. Okay, you feel like you want to start a business and so on, but because you feel like your friends are going to party, you pick part of the money, or you borrow from someone, you go and use it. By the time you are receiving your salary, every money has already where it is supposed to be accommodated. And that's where really many people face a lot of challenges. When you go to party, one thing you must not fail to touch is a bottle. And what is contained in the bottle? Alcohol. So those are things we need to look at. We need to evaluate ourselves. We need to start auditing ourselves. Okay, you audit yourself according to your plans. Once you have a plan, you should be able to write them down. Because once you keep these things in your brain, another sweet opportunity comes, you shift the monies into the other one. And those are things that can really make you not really progress as far as your growth, individual growth is concerned. And those are the things we need to evaluate. We need to see that we are able to move further and further. But also ensuring that you move to the facilities to check your health status and the normal functioning of your body system. If you're able to check it, or you are able to examine it at a health facility, the better. Because many times now we eat a lot of things, a lot of toxic things, a lot of sweet things, but also the sweet things contribute to diseases, but also those toxic ones. And for you to balance this, you have to know your status, and those are some of the things you have to do. If you are a drunkard, you should start moving away from being a drunkard to an alcohol consumer. Okay, alcohol consumer is this person who is not really totally off guard. Maybe he goes there and consumes it once in a month. You have a timetable for your alcohol, and you know your limit. You are an alcohol consumer. But your drunkard is this one who goes and wants to taste every variety, and you want to even finish a crate. Okay, you say, I take 6 bottles. Maybe my friends have already also come. I need more. You see that those kind of things, those are called drunkards. So you need to know your limit. We cannot really totally say people should not drink. But how do you take alcohol? What kind of alcohol do you consume? What is your health status? What is it that you should be able to take? Those are things you need to really sit together with a medical officer or a gynecologist or somebody who is there to examine alcohol, really to tell you what amount of alcohol you need for your body. With people is one thing you can do to really avoid stress. It's not alcohol, it's not any drug that you can take that you will be able to come away from being stressed. Okay, those are some of the things, because you may think that you are relieving stress, you will find yourself running mad or being mentally ill, and you cannot really move further with these kind of issues. And those are things we need to really understand as individuals, as people who are really much into alcohol consumption. Uganda has really been on the lead in terms of alcohol consumption, but much as these stories are coming there, we have not really done much in terms of having information shared with the communities to ensure that alcohol consumption is reduced to the maximum. Okay, alcohol consumption to be reduced to the maximum, we need to really up our games in terms of enforcement, in terms of education. Education should be the first thing, the priority. Let's change the minds of the producers. Let's tell them the right thing, that they should be able to produce the rightful content that is needed for the body. Okay, and also ensuring that alcohol or the bars that are engaged in selling alcohol should follow the time. Okay, follow the time, and also look at the customers who are taking this alcohol. Once somebody is off guard and is still asking for more alcohol, please, you should be able to say, no, I'm not giving you any more, because it might claim your life. And those are things we need to really impact into, pump sense into some of these people who are really much into dealing with alcohol, because some of the people who are drinking alcohol have already run mad. They are just waiting for the madness to pop in. Okay, they are already mad. You can even look at their eyes. When you meet with one of them on the road, the eyes look drunk. They are just waiting for the alcohol to add on. You see that? Those are some of the things. Sometimes people smell and so on. You don't feel comfortable. For instance, for those of us who do not take the liquor, you don't feel comfortable staying with such a person. And yet this is somebody who is in any office, is supposed to be respected, does not brush the teeth, feels like the alcohol will be the best to brush his teeth. And many times in the villages, people say, I'm going to wash my face at Anna's brewing joint. You see that? Those are the things that come with excitement when these people have turned to be drunkards. And those are things we can even avoid when we impact knowledge on the community, the society, and ensure that we tackle each and every loophole that exists within our laws. Okay, when our laws are not really so much looked at as a nation, and we tend to focus so much onto collection of taxes, we may be off guard. We will continue to be the leading country in this continent, in this sub-Saharan Africa, in this world of .com, in terms of the bad acts that we will be committing. And you realize that the behaviors exhibited by these persons under the influence of alcohol are not really something somebody will really be able to tolerate. That is it. Let's move away from the alcohol issue and take a break, and we'll be coming back to move on with some of the stories that I highlighted earlier on and really be able to bring to your attention. But you can still move to the YouTube channel and share with us how is the situation of alcohol consumption in your area, but also tell us really how best government should be able to control or regulate alcohol consumption in Uganda, but also production, because many times we have very many laws and they have not impacted. What alternative do you think government can use to make sure that the population is saved from excessive consumption of alcohol and the disorders associated with alcohol consumption. Thank you.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
We are the passion you've been waiting for! Yunus Junior Santamon! It's our league, our football, our boys, our style. Start Times UPL new season starts 15th September. Go for it! What a finish to Master Fukume! The Ugandan flair, Brazilian samba, Portuguese magic, the night football craze. More TV games live on Senyuka Prime and Fufa TV only on Star Times. The Star Times UPL, our league, go for it.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
All right, welcome back from that commercial break. Earlier on, we were discussing the issues of the figures that were announced yesterday by the commissioner, and you realize that 1.2 million Ugandans are really facing the complications that have come as a result of excessive consumption of alcohol, and this is really something that people are living with, and you realize that many of these are really mostly health complications, and this destroy mostly the inner or the internal organs of a human being. And remember, this range from the livers, the heart, and many others, including the brain, and so on. And these are things that we really need to really talk much about and ensure that people move away from excessive consumption of alcohol. But instead of talking about consumption from the start, who is this person who is brewing the alcohol, who is manufacturing the alcohol, who is packing the alcohol, who is that one who looks at the quality of the alcohol that has been produced, and does it meet the standards? These are some of the things that government needs to take the mantle in ensuring that these are checked. But also the companies that are producing this alcohol certified, these genuine dealers in the business, because alcohol is something to do with life and death, okay? Because the manufacturer is actually looking at the business aspect, but this is something that is consumed into the body. But once it is consumed, what does it behave like in the internal system of a human being? And those are things that government should be able to take seriously and ensure that Ugandans are saved from this kind of things. And let's move away from that and look at the issues of a lack of sex education, how it is impacting on the teenage pregnancies. Remember, right now, looking at the statistics that were published by Ministry of Gender and Labour Social Development in collaboration with the Uganda police, that there are so many teenage pregnancy cases that have continued to increase each and every time. And this is coming from 2019, even during the COVID-19 era, the cases were not really too high. Looking at the 23,000 population that was captured as the teenage pregnancy cases, but right now we're talking about 33,000 across the country, and this is something that is really threatening the lives or the lives of the young children. And this is just coming from one region, and this is where we should be able to look at what is missing. Where is the missing link? Sex education. Who is responsible for this? And you realize that in African traditional society, many times the young daughters of ours used to sleep or stay with the aunties who are able to nurture them in terms of sexual education. They will tell you that once your breasts are shooting, that means you are becoming an adult. You are becoming an adult. You are growing. You are growing. That means you should be able to have ABCD. The ABCDs that they used to talk about is abstain from sex, ensure that you maintain menstrual hygiene. How do they maintain it? Make sure that you wash your clothes, your panties are frequently washed, and ensure that you bathe 3 times in a day. And these were messages that were passed by the aunties. But for the boy child, once the voices begin to deepen, or the boy feels like his chest is enlarging and wants to move like a boss and maybe a guard, this is really treated by the father who is responsible for that. And he is supposed to take the boy through the adolescence processes, and also what is involved in it, and then talk about the wet dream that comes. Sometimes once boys see that, they feel like, okay, now I can now start moving around, okay, boozing around, going to this local derby. They call it local derby, but discos that organized in the rural settings, sometimes under trees, sometimes in fenced with the paparas and so on. And those are places where these children find themselves. And by then, movement was regulated. Parents used to ensure that there's strictness in the homes, and they ensure that by 6 dot, all the children at home, those who were keeping maybe grazing the cow, the cattle, and so on, they are already back. And all these children are taken through riddles. They tell a lot of stories. They tell a lot of issues that are affecting their growth and so on. The implication of what acts they will be able to do, and that's where really children were learning a lot of things. But right now in the modern era, you realize that children are taken to boarding schools. They stay there for quite a long period of time. Even some people feel like they should even stay in the holidays, during the holidays with their aunties somewhere and so on. Their friends, they can even stay that side to avoid these issues of buying food for many people and so on. Some parents do not even want to afford to buy these sanitary facilities for the children. Even for the children to have a bathing shelter at home is very difficult. You cannot even construct it as a head of family. And those are some of the things that we really need to talk about. And where is the missing link? And you realize that with the transition from the traditional era to the modern era, you realize that many people have abandoned the responsibilities of parenting, the responsibilities of guidance and counseling, the career guidance, those things that used to be happening, they are no longer there. And these are things that really make children lose focus of what they are supposed to do and the ambitions that they had set. And you realize that it becomes like a day of your future, okay? A day of your future means that you don't think of what is coming ahead of you, but you feel like the future is now. and I need to do everything now. And that's why many times boys talk about now, whether there's condom or there's no condom, now. There will be no challenge about this. And those are some of the things that make children get pregnant. We have seen miserably some children getting pregnant from the ages of 9, 10, 14, and so on. This is really so much alarming in the nation. We need to design mechanisms of how to tackle this. Besides the parental guidelines that we have issued, we have not facilitated the dissemination of these parental guidelines. I read it and it was so good that it captures all that is happening in the modern era, and really it brings out the real issues that need to be tackled by every stakeholder. But failure to disseminate whatever you have, that you have put it on the website, people will read it there, will be useless. And many people do not have time to check on the websites of these ministries. They don't have time to read a lot of things, but they believe in what others talk. So we should be able to come up clearly with the mechanisms of reaching the communities, and also be able to disseminate some of these kind of things direct to the people who are supposed to benefit from that. And that's one way we should be able to really ensure that sex education is up to date, and also ensure that in schools it is one thing that our senior man, the senior woman teachers are able to emphasize, are able to move forth with, and are also able to really bring to the attention of the learners. And bringing debates about sexuality is very important, so that children know of the changes that occur in them, because many times now parents do not have enough time to do all that it takes to empower or acquaint the children with the knowledge of experience sharing, or the knowledge of sex or sexuality. That is the missing link. But from the schools, we can really be able to tap some of these and share with the children how they should be raised. They should be really freely raised, how they should be able to determine the future. Okay, determining the future is through different ways, ensuring that career guidance is up to date, ensuring that children learn of their physical bodies. Okay, you should be able to know how your body behaves, and you should be able to know how to handle certain situations without even going to engage into sexual acts. And abstinence has been one thing that is very challenging, and that's why you saw a lot of proposals by Parliament about a section of the MPs that maybe if we could start giving maybe contraceptives to children, it will work. And those are some of the things that are coming in the brains of many people. And for us to fight this, we can really do only this when we talk, when we say a lot of things, when we empower knowledge on the learners, on the parents, and so on. We used to have parental clubs, but these have never existed in the modern era now. I don't know why. And those were mostly really under partners, especially partners like Care International used to do some of these kind of things, but nowadays they have disappeared. There used to be adult literacy where our mothers, parents, and so on used to be guided, but these have all disappeared. That is where really you get the chance to empower more knowledge on some of these changing trends of things that are happening in the country to the parents. And that is it. Let's move away from the sex education that is lacking in this country, that is really escalating cases of teenage pregnancy, and switch our issues now to the issues to do with Uganda also getting another worse situation, another worse story to do with the failure to enforce laws and so on, where Uganda has been ranked number 125 out of number 142 countries in the sub-Saharan Africa. Remember, Uganda is really so much into creation of laws, amending even them without enforcement. You create a law, you feel like it is not right, you amend it. And this is really published by the Rule of Law Index that looks at so many countries in the world that is focusing on many other people. And these statistics were really collected from over 159 million people. Okay, the responses were got from this kind of people. And in East Africa, Uganda is the worst, and Uganda comes with number 13 out of the East African countries, and Uganda has not really achieved so much in terms of that implementation of the laws that we have. Maybe producer, if you can move and check that story and really change the rating. That is very, very important, because we're away from the teenage pregnancy cases. You should be able to move to the other topic, because there are people who only see, they don't really look at what we are talking. They only see and read. Okay, that is very, very important. And if you look at that statistics, you realize that Uganda has also been one of the countries that is said to be the best in the lawmaking area. Okay, we make a lot of good laws. We have a lot of stringent measures, but we're not enforcing them, and that is an area where most of those who want to deal in illicit or maybe play around the laws find it easier to do it. And if you look, for instance, why sometimes we fail to implement our laws is we have a lot of love for money. Many times people compromise work because they feel like there's money, we can easily get it from here and so on. And if you look at in the context of African perspective, Uganda is one of the countries that many European countries have been able to come to benchmark and look at the legal backings or the legal procedures that Uganda is using. And I've appreciated the members of parliament for coming up with so much things to do with the legal minds, and also really ensuring that all is put to paper. But from paper to the implementation, you find that it becomes very challenging. And if you look at the 2021 corruption index, you realize that the enforcement bodies were the leading in terms of corruption. That means if corruption is the biggest, manifesting in the law enforcement bodies, especially the police, the army, and also the local governments. That means we have challenges now with the issues to do with the implementation. People want to be convinced. People, for them to even go and arrest one of the law offenders or the law breakers, they need fuel from the one who has come to really report the case, and that's one thing that has compromised our efforts in as far as responding to enforcing some of these laws is concerned. And if you look at detailed analysis of some of these issues, the issues to do with bribery, the issues to do with the interest in serving, in maybe delivering services, the issues of enforcement compromised by exchange of money is one thing that is leading. And that means Uganda will not really move far if we cannot eliminate some of these vices. These vices are really impact negatively if we cannot really pay attention to whatever we have in the constitution. Well, our constitution will become like maybe a redundant thing, something that is of no use, that does not have any respect to be accorded, and will not really move far as far as the implementation of our laws is concerned. And Remember, there are funds that have been really allocated in different sectors in as far as the implementation of some of these laws is concerned. Especially if you talk about the enforcement of the acts that we have, especially I will cite two of them. Maybe talk about the act again, the National Forestry Act, that is the National Forestry and Tree Planting Act, that is 2003 as amended, has a lot of funds that have been apportioned, and you realize that many times officers go to the field. Once they reach the field, maybe they feel compromised. They allow some of these commercial charcoal dealers to go with the charcoal. They sometimes allow people to continue encroaching onto the protected land. They even fail to really produce people to court, stating that maybe they are going to handle the issue. At some point you realize that charcoal is impounded, it remains redundant, or they even sell it and you don't know where the monies have gone. And sometimes that compromises a lot of work that we are supposed to do to really save this nation. Because if the parliament has done its part of ensuring that work is done, or we have the law as per se, just like earlier we said, the Nguli Act that was passed and even ascended to by the president has been there. Nobody has enforced any of that part of the law, and you realize that more than millions of Ugandans are just getting affected by the impact of what is not being enforced. And talk about the alcohol consumption that people are always really taking, and also talk about many other issues that come around with the issues to do with lack of enforcement. Lack of enforcement has brought a lot of issues in this country. Talk about drug abuse that is escalating. The drug abuse that is escalating is coming as a result of lawlessness and also failure to enforce other relevant laws that could be even really helping this. Because now our the National Drug and Psychotropic Act that was there existing was annulled, and we had a bill that was really up to date that has not been ascended to by the president, and this is one thing that has been really idle and left a space. But we have the NDA Act that is there to regulate use of substances and also drugs. And this, because they are not being enforced, people feel like there's no law to regulate the use of drugs and substances in this country, and that makes us really to not progress in as far as saving the people is concerned, but also looking at some of the challenges that are associated with this. We have now seen the escalated cases of drug abuse, the issues of teenage pregnancies, the issues to do with the also child marriages, the issues to do with domestic violence or gender-based violence that is on the increase. And these are coming just because of those kind of laws that are not being enforced in this country. So what does it take to enforce a law? What does it take? One of the issues that we have to strategize ourselves on is the community engagements, the community barazas, to enlighten the community about the existing laws that we have in this country. But also looking at the other aspect of what is it that we should be able to do for the law enforcement bodies. We need to look at the aspect of the credibility of these persons, and then the passion they have to work in the government offices. Because ideally, if you have a forest officer, if you have a police officer who is not ready to enforce just because of his own personal interest, you don't need to really leave this person to serve for long, because he or she will not be fruitful in as far as enforcing some of these kind of laws is concerned. We need to really now start doing action other than really lamenting on some of these issues, because we have over lamented and really talked so much about the laws that we have in this country. Many people say that we create laws, especially as Uganda, and these laws fall in Lake Victoria, but because Lake Victoria is is bordering 3 countries, you realize that sometimes the water flows with these laws and they are implemented in Kenya. Some of them, sometimes those are some of the says that people say. Sometimes Rwanda gets a share from Kenya and implements some of them the other side. Sometimes Tanzania is the one implementing them, and we remain here idle. And that is something really we need to look at and ensure that we're able to achieve the goals that we have set. Okay, if we say we don't want homosexuality, for example, and we have the Anti-Homosexuality Act that we have in this country, 2023, and this act is already there. What is it that we should be able to do? We need to impact knowledge on the people to ensure that they are able to report the cases or the issues that are contained in the clauses of this law, or the content of this law. What is it that what is it that is happening in the community that is against this law? Those are things we need to first impact on, and also ensure that those people who are supposed to respond to act on behalf of the community or the public in enforcing the law respond timely, because timely response is one of the healing that a community member will get, and will also be able to really report more of these cases or other cases of law breaking in this country. If we cannot comply or if cannot respond quickly to cases that are reported, that means we are wasting the efforts of the people. People will not be ready to continue reporting these kind of cases that you want really to enforce on. But also we have seen that issues to do with the enforcement of tax laws is very, very idle. Sometimes it is only URA that is struggling to ensure that enforcement is done, and this is done by the military. But we have other agencies that can really do enforcement. We have recruited so many enforcement officers at local governments. These are supposed to work for the local governments. Besides the police, are also other separate institutions that are also there to enforce. Those who are supposed to enforce the ordinances passed by the local governments are the enforcement officers that are recruited by the local governments. And you realize that many times these are not complied with. These people are not complacent, and they cannot really do much in as far as achieving the goals that are set to be achieved under the laws that are existing. And this affects many times the normal functioning of institutions, and it doesn't paint a very good picture in as far as the existence of laws in this country is concerned. So it is very quite a touching issue that we need to really start doing it from the entities that are the law enforcement officer of entities, but also coming down to many other institutions that are already there in the structures in the line of enforcement. And that is it, and let's take a break. When we come back, we'll really be able to move to other stories that are getting shape in the discussions on the Kokoliriko show. My name still remains Dramadri Federick. I'll be taking you up to the hour of 9, where we'll be bringing the news in Lugbarati. Thanks. Let's take a break.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
We are the passion you've been waiting for! our style. Star Times UPL new season starts 15th September. Go for it.
What a finish from Kukume!
The Ugandan flair, Brazilian samba, Portuguese magic, the night football craze. More TV games live on Senyuka Prime and Fufa TV only on Star Times. The Star Times UPL. Our league, go for it.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
All right, welcome back from that commercial break. We're discussing the issues to do with the poor enforcement as far as the laws of Uganda is concerned. Remember, we are ranked number 125 out of 140 countries. That means we are tailing, or we are maybe on the top from the rock bottom. And that is one thing we should not be amazed of. We should be serious talking about these kind of issues. We should be able to scrutinize how our law enforcement organs are working, okay? We need to look at how transparently do they work. We need to look at who are these officers who are not making us really move very far. We have existing laws. We have so many laws. I don't know how many they are. I've not counted all of them because many have continued to be enacted. But to be sincere, that most of these laws have not been enforced up to 50%. And that is the worst scenario we'll be having as a nation, when we are running a nation on a constitution that is on paper, but then implementation becomes a very, very difficult moment. You will only see the police seriously enforcing during elections, okay? During the campaigns, that's when you see all the police officers on the road trying to seriously pose to be working. And during this kind of days, when you see people dying because of alcohol, when you see people dying because of mental illness, because they are over consuming these drugs, substances that we are not enforcing. Why? And these are the issues that we need to really look at. Where do you get the fuel to enforce during the campaigns, maybe during the COVID and so on, when there's no even no external support, when you are guarding the campaign teams and so on? And these are things we really need to work on seriously if we want to achieve more in terms of implementing our laws. And let's move away from that. NIRA is still looking for 666.8 billion Ugandan shillings to ensure that IDs are renewed, but also ensuring that many people are captured. And this is another hiccup for Uganda. In case we don't renew the IDs, that means we will not have nationals to do elections or to do voting by 2026, and that is one thing that is coming up. And if you look at the entities that are responsible for these activities, especially NIRA, we also saw recently that Uganda National Bureau of Statistics was demanding for a very good billion to really start also doing census. That means we have a lot of money that needed to be approved to rescue the situation. If we cannot know how many people are existing in Uganda, we will not really be able to move far as far as we want to achieve the goals. Even the elections will not be conducted successfully because we don't know how many people we have. So who are those voters that you are going to count? So that is one thing we need to really look at. If we want to really move far, we need to finance and the activities of national ID registration, identity card registration authority, that is NIRA, that is mandated to really process national IDs for the Ugandans, and to ensure that there is a limitation about the issuance of these national IDs to unscrupulous persons who might intrude into the nation, or maybe erroneously get these IDs, so that work is done transparently. You know, people do not work actively when they don't have the funds, and they said they are going to actually recruit 1.3 million Ugandans to work in the sector to ensure that the work is done at a terrific speed that can be really accurately vetted, and the IDs are issued in a short notice. And remember, most of the IDs are expiring. They have started actually expiring. By this year, some have expired. Next year, others will be expiring. So this is really a standing block. That means you are not a national once your ID expires. So we continue to have IDs that are expiring. That means nationality, you are not a national. You are not identifying yourself as a national. Should we be born by expiry dates? Those are things we need to understand as a country. It will be good also not to have national IDs that do not have expiry dates, so that I know that I'm a Ugandan. I don't need to really go and look for where to renew my ID. That means if I don't renew it, I cease to be a Ugandan. So we should be able to really work around some of those technicalities to really make sure that we are able to capture the Ugandans who are there, but also ensure that the IDs do not expire. If they expire, that means it will be every time appropriating money for ID renewal, and the number of Ugandans keep increasing. That means we will be every time renewing IDs. Spending money on the same thing for many times is not really something that is resourceful, or we are not managing our resources very well. Instead of going to tarmac these roads, that I saw a letter circulating. I don't know if it is true, but I just want to keep it to that, and we will discuss it when it is authenticated or maybe proved to be the official letter about the issues to do with the roads. Some roads have been said to be marams, and they are the best in this country. So others best when they are tarmacked, and those are some of the issues that are coming up that many people are discussing about. But on this issue of the IDs, please, parliamentarians, okay, the MPs, let's look for this money and make sure that this money is given to NIRA to process the IDs, because if a Ugandan is working with an expired national ID, it doesn't look good to be said as a Ugandan, because you have an expired identity. You don't deserve to be a Ugandan, much as you have the birth certificate that can clearly indicate that you are born of Uganda. You cease to be a Ugandan because you don't have the national ID. And that's one story that is there, which is very, very serious. Let's move away from that. The issues to do with the Chinese, the China warning her citizens in Congo, in Kenya, from moving up and down within the national because of security threats that they are already detecting in Kenya, is one story that is also making rounds in East Africa here. Because remember, Kenya is one country that has also accommodated other nationals, many of them who have come to do trade, who have come to engage in other things in the country already there. And the Chinese embassy issued a letter on Thursday that the their nationals who are living in Kenya should be extra security cautious about the issues, the threats that they are seeing from the neighboring Somalia. That is being done by the Al-Shabaab group that is coming to threaten Kenya. And also they should avoid the issues of moving to the borders, okay, moving across the borders, maybe to other countries neighboring East Africa, is one thing that the Chinese embassy is warning. And remember, they have also explained vividly that the tourists who want to come from China to really Kenya should be aware of those security alerts, and each individual, maybe each Chinese national, should be able to take extra security consciousnness and be able to really report some of the threats that they are receiving to the embassy, so that they are helped out. And this comes after Kenya sided or took side in the Israel-Hamas war that has been really immensely witnessed, with so much destructions, loss of lives, and so on. You know that war, which is really up to date, has not come to a close and has really continued to affect so many Israelis, and that's where really Kenya has taken part and said we are siding with Israel, and we are really condemning what Hamas is doing. And this is one thing that has turned to be a security threat to Kenya, and that's why the Chinese embassy is trying to warn her citizens in Kenya in participating in some of these gathering places, in participating in other events where people are in mass rallies or in big numbers, and also ensuring that their tourists do not really come at the moment when these issues are really still hot like that. They were citing examples with the recent killing of two tourists, one of Indian origin and one of the South African origin, that were killed in Uganda, plus one Ugandan driver who was taking tourists across the Kasse's Queen Elizabeth National Game Park, which is in Uganda, and these were killed in a blood pool, and really the car was really seriously burned to ashes. And those are some of the things that are really bringing tension in Kenya. And remember, Kenyan authorities have come out to say that the security is up to date and there's nothing to panic of, but this did not go well with the Chinese embassy officials, and they said no, prevention is better than cure, and that's why they have issued this alert, and have said real people need to take extra precautions. And this remember, America used to has also been warning Uganda about some of these kind of issues, but we have seen the East African countries trying to contain some of these external pressures that come. For instance, Uganda stood firm and said no, there's nothing like bomb blasts will be coming on. And we saw some of the escalated cases of bomb explosions, and also some of the people behind the bombs being arrested and taken. And this resulted into the tracing of the M23 and ADF rebels in DRC, and this was one thing that has been there. But for Kenya said, and actually they are ready to face those kind of insecurities that may come, and actually they are prepared enough to ensure that the safety of all the foreigners that come to the country will be able to be safeguarded. Okay, they will be really secured. They will not really have that tension which is said to be coming. And looking at the cross-border nature of our countries in East Africa, it's like a free entry and free exit kind of thing. But we have seen that with Pan-Africanism that is being established and being implemented or enforced by most of these East African countries or East African heads of states, many of them have already taken it to their upon themselves to ensure that all that is becoming wash is jointly fought. Okay, and that's why you see the M23 rebels, the ADF rebels are being jointly fought by the East African Community and the UN peacekeeping mission in DRC, and that's why you see calm in the neighboring countries of Democratic Republic of Congo. So that is it in Congo. But let's move away from East Africa to the entire continent, where you see the sub-Saharan African countries already putting a pause on the export of raw materials, especially the food that is exported outside Africa, because of hunger threats that are coming. And this is attributed to the food prices that are increasing in each and every African sub-Saharan African countries. And this includes Uganda and many other countries that are in Africa. So if you look at the food prices that right now, you'll really understand that in the local markets, for instance, even here in Arua City, the price of beans have continued to increase amidst people in the harvesting season. And this is a sign that we are going to have a looming hunger in the next. And famine can easily break out. And that's why many of these African, sub-Saharan African countries are limiting export of food, really to export of food items to other countries. Now, trading in food items is made worse by the increase in prices or the wars that are happening, and this is attributed to the Russian war, the Russia-Ukrainian war, now the other wars that are coming in, and also many other issues that are coming locally. Talk about the instabilities, the insecurities, and the low food production by farmers. And this is attributed to the climatic crisis, okay, the climate change impacts that are on our continent. And many of these sub-Saharan African heads of states have really consented that for us to export, we need to export finished goods. Finished goods, these are where you have already put a value addition, okay, when the processes of the raw materials have undergone raw materials, or maybe they have been manufactured into other products, or they have been add value in order to really increase the price, but also ensure that we are able to retain a lot of money to venture into other sectors. And that is one thing that we'll be really able to see there. And if you see that in the local markets, prices of food items are increasing, you should be able to be aware that things are changing. Things are changing in a negative way. So we need to engage so much into production of food. We need to increase the quality of the products that we have, okay? If we are every time producing cassava and the cassava is not yielding well, we should be able to diversify and move into other products that can be able to do well to rescue us from hunger, and also many other issues that can really be able to help us to progress further and move with development very, very fast. And I think that limitation on exports is one great thing we should be able to do, because sometimes even people take these traders who want to export these food items to other countries, to their gardens. You sell the whole food in the garden, and you are left with nothing to feed your family. And that's why sometimes you see the cases of malnutrition increasing, the issues of famine breaking out, where right now World Food Program has said nations should derive mechanisms of increasing food security in their own local ways, because they are not going to really get food from other nations to supply other nations in times of hunger or famine outbreak. And this is now one thing we need to really venture so much into. And that is it for the Friday's edition. For those of you who have been participating in the show by watching, I say thank you very, very much. And you should be able to understand that up next we'll be having the news in Lubarati. That is with our very honorable passion, that is Fete Emmanuel. He's, by the way, a very great spiritual leader who can really guide you in the spiritual aspect. And that's why we always encourage people to take up living up to their dignity. Respect is very important, and that's why you see him in the photo there, very humble. And those are the signatures of people who want to see living or leading communities in the near future. And that is it. And behind the camera we have Dijon Pro, who has been really connecting us with you to ensure that you see whatever we are talking about live. And we in the production we have Aldo, who is there, and he is the one behind the writings, and also making sure that all that is broadcasted or published here is seen by you. And those are the team that have been here for the Friday edition. Since Monday up to Friday, we say thank you, and we will really be there with you in every event. Let's meet again on Monday. Up next, we'll be having the news in Lubarati. Thank you.